Hello, everybody. Today, I want to talk to you about what level of programming knowledge you need to get into DevOps field, especially as a junior DevOps person or a junior SRE person. I get this question all the time. It's kind of debated anyway, but I'm going to give you my opinion on this, and you can hopefully this helps you in figuring out what kind of coding you need to learn before your first interview for a DevOps or an SRE job. All right, so first of all, no matter what coding you do, you're going to need to learn Git. That is a bread and butter, everyday thing for DevOps. You have to know how to deal with Git. How to commit code, how to create branches, how to merge branches, how to do simple things like discard your code and start over, how to go through previous merges and see what has changed, things like that. So a basic knowledge, a kind of solid but basic knowledge of Git is fundamental to any of the coding that you would be doing as a junior DevOps SRE person. I've sorted this out in terms of difficulty, not so much as what you might need more or less. So that way you get an idea of at what level you're good enough to get your first DevOps job, right? So next one in terms of level of ease is YAML. YAML is heavily used for Kubernetes and many other things, but it's becoming more and more standard because you are creating infrastructure through code, and that infrastructure is actually descriptive, meaning you tell what to build, not how to build, right? And there's a thing called serialization, and that YAML is basically a template of what you want the cloud to build, right? So you have to know YAML. It is actually not very hard once you spend maybe a half an hour into it. It is kind of cryptic, but it's like dashes mean something, double dashes mean something, triple dash means something, spaces mean something. But if you spend any time, maybe an hour, just going through another video on YouTube or some small level of coding it yourself, you will get the hang of it. It's not very difficult to do. It's just not very user friendly. That's all. The next level of difficulty thing is shell scripting. Now, shell scripting, you don't necessarily need shell scripting per se because nowadays shell scripting is frowned upon for deploying infrastructure. But if you're doing any kind of CI/CD pipeline, let's say GCP CodeBuild or Jenkins or AWS CodeBuild, what you'd be writing is basically a shell script, right? It's 80% shell scripting is what it is. So if you know fundamentals of shell scripting, if you just dabbled on it a little bit, that's good enough so that when you go to a job, you can run at least some of the CI/CD pipelines. More the better, obviously, but in any kind of shell scripting kind of language is really, really useful and needed. All right. The next level of difficulty is Terraform. Terraform is a domain-specific language, so they have their own language, but it is not too different than I don't want to say YAML, but it's kind of a combination of YAML and basic programming and JSON kind of put together, but it's their own language, right? But it is not as difficult as, say, a true programming language. So nowadays, Terraform is so prevalent in every company that does any kind of cloud build. You need some level of Terraform knowledge. For example, maybe write a simple module, maybe understand other people's code that's already written, or maybe make a small change, or you're writing your own code to deploy what's called greenfield infrastructure. I mean, something that has been done before, you just do it yourself. So you get a fresh start. So some level of understanding of how to write Terraform code is probably a must for a junior developer. All right, next one is some level of concept understanding of programming language. So let it be Python or Java or Go or what have you, right? As long as you know how to write a function, as long as you know how to write call a function, how to write some kind of sequential code, a for loop, a while loop, an if then else statements, those basic programming concepts, as long as you know those things in any language, that would be a needed and skill set for your first job, right? If you don't have that, chances are you're not going to make it as a DevOps or SRE person. Now, those are the things that you need for a junior level position, right? If you're going into senior, then it gets a little bit more hard, more difficult. For example, you might need a much higher level of Python experience, and of course, because senior jobs are so different, and in terms of skill set, what you need for one job may not be the same thing for the other for another job. But these are some of the things that you might need. So some, not expert, but definitely above average level of skill set in Python or some equivalent language. More expert level coding for Terraform, so you can write your own module, maybe a complicated module, maybe you're writing a module that's used by other people in the company, that kind of thing. When you get even further into your career, you might learn how to write code in Google Cloud Run or Lambda, which is basically not a language by itself, right? It's just a platform. So you can choose Python as a language or a JavaScript as a language, but you would use those languages to actually write the code in Cloud Run and Lambda, right? But that's for senior level positions. True software engineering skills are not really needed for a junior level position. For senior level, maybe just a little bit, but not much. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please like and subscribe. That helps me with the YouTube's algorithm, and I'll see you in the next video.